विनोद बिहारी जू की जय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरन मोहन जू की जय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शत शिशिमार भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शत शिशिमार भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टतर शत शिशिमार Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nityala Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityala Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nityala Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gorkshara Swabhaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityala Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki jai. Nikhil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Bhattadash Raghunath Shard Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Nama Chay Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kundi Muna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री रस-पाñcādhyāyī की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणिति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूत हृदयमुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रयेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams Madhavi Didi and Ganga Mataji, Gargraj ji, Indira Mataji, and Yashoda Didi. Pranams to all of you. So, yesterday we had a gap because this streaming service wasn't working. And sorry to put you through all that. The day before yesterday, my falling asleep while reading this last chapter, I was reading at midnight actually, and so when I was reading that, when we got to the end of the chapter, I realized that I didn't read the last two commentaries. So I'm going to read that now, and then we'll begin the second chapter, the last two commentaries of the... Actually, would it be good to have a little recap? Why not? Okay, so... Okay, let's go here. Library, Bhagavat Pravaha, Haribo, Champak Didi, and Sudevi Didi, and Prajumna Prabhu, and Mantra Murti Mataji. Oops, what I did. Okay. On the full moon night of the autumn, Sharad Purnima, the festive ambience of Vrindavan inspired Krishna's desire to dance with the Gopīs. Krishna then began to play his flute standing at the Vangshivat. The Gopīs, all over Vraj, left their respective duties and rushed towards Krishna. Some of them were forbidden by their relatives, but they disregarded them and went to Krishna anyways. Seeing the Gopīs, Krishna gave numerous accounts of why they should return home, although within his heart, he wanted them to stay. However, due to their deep attachment for him, the Gopīs only heard his external words, became heartbroken, and thus fervently requested him to accept them as his maidservants. I don't know about that. I don't know why he added that in. Some scholars call this appeal of the Gopīs as Pranay Geet, or the Song of Love. Oh, I didn't realize that's what we were singing. We're singing the Pranay Geet. Okay. Hearing their plea, self-satisfied Krishna reciprocated with them by initiating the rasa dance. All right, so that's a little summary. Okay. So let's see, the previous verse was, being so highly honored by Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord and Supreme Lover, the Gopīs became proud, and each one, wait, this is chapter... No, I'm on the wrong chapter. Sorry about that, guys. What the heck? Oh no, I guess I am on the right chapter. Okay. Bhagavan Shri Krishna arrived with the Gopīs at the sacred bank of the Yamuna, where the sand was shining like camphor and was cool from the waves of the river. The whole area was bathed in the light of the full moon and was fragrant with the scent of night-blooming lotuses. There, on that blissful river bank, Bhagavan initiated his amorous play with the cowherd maidens, who are his internal potency. Bhagavan Shri Krishna threw his arms around the Vrajasundaris and embraced them, pressed their palms, touched their braids, thighs, waists, and breasts, joked with them, playfully scratched them with his fingernails, delightfully glanced at them, and laughed with them. In this way, he aroused their transcendental lust, the supremely glorious erotic prema, and gave them pleasure by sporting with him. Don't like the word erotic. Evam Bhagavata Krishna labdhamana mahatmana atmanam menire strinam maninyo hyadikam bhuvi. Being so highly honored Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord and Supreme Lover, the Gopis became proud, and each one considered herself the finest woman in the world. Tasam tat sobhagamad vikshamanam chakeshava prashamaya prasadaya tatraivantaradhiyata. Keshav observes that these Rajramanis were overly proud due to their good fortune and were now exhibiting man also. In order to quell their pride and satisfy them by dispelling their indignation, he suddenly disappeared from their assembly. Śrīla Swāmīpad's Bhavartha Dipika. Saubhagya Mada refers to intoxication due to good fortune, meaning that they lost control of themselves. Man, indignation, and Garva, pride. Keshava, Ka means Brahma. Isha means Shiva. Keshava is he who controls Brahma and Shiva. No effort whatsoever was required for this Keshav to break their pride and indignation. End of the Bhavartha Dipika on Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 29. Just checking the comments. Okay. Now, Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmīpad's Vaishnava Toshani. This verse describes the rising of pride, Garva, in the Vrajramanis from their intoxication due to good fortune, their Saubhagya Mada. Vishvakosh defines Mada as rtha, semen, kasturi, musk, Garva, pride, and transformation of the heart due to delight. But this Garva is not the transformation of the material heart. Shri Krishna took special note of this Garva and Man and the Gopis. He realized that their pride was thoroughly incorrigible. I think that's how you say it. That means of a person or their behavior not able to be changed or reformed. Okay, so it was unchangeable. He realized that their pride was thoroughly incorrigible and that there was no means to rout it out. Even hundreds of entreaties would not be able to help, would not be capable of dispelling this man. Oops. After analyzing the man of the Vrajramanis, Shri Krishna ascertains that the only means to overcome it was for him to vanish from their presence. Thus, Shri Krishna instantly disappeared without anyone noticing which way he went. There was no question of tasting ras with them. There was no question of tasting ras with them without breaking their pride and without pleasing Rādha. Antaradhiyata. Dishna means disrespect, the root verb being di. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 10:30-28, so that's verse 28 of the next chapter, Shri Krishna disappeared with Shri Radha, although no one witnessed this. Yoga Maya accomplished this to fulfill his desire. Sometimes the hero adopts a negligent mood to remove a man aroused by envy. Rasa Shastra describes that anger with cause, sahetuman. Anger with a cause is removed by these means: gentle words, sama, dissension, bhed, action, kriya, donation, dhan, courtesy, nati, neglect, upeksha, or any other suitable mood which is appropriate to produce ras. But the causeless pranay man goes away on its own, or perhaps after some small retaliation. One might object that the man of the Vrajramanis was causeless, so why did Krishna neglect them and disappear? The reply is this. Neglect was necessary to pacify their man, because if both parties are indignant, then the anger will become more solid and, together with pride, will keep growing. Anger and pride help prem to ripen. In other words, for prem to reach its highest limits, neglect was required to pacify both garva and man. Thinking in this way, Sri Bhagavan decided to vanish and thus achieved both tasks. Sri Krishna disappeared to accomplish two purposes simultaneously. When the pride and indignation of the Vrajramanis would be removed, they would join the supremely nectarian Ras Lila, and thus he would relish Shringar Ras to the fullest extent. Although Sri Krishna acts according to his own will, it is not a very difficult task for him to remove the Vrajramani's pride. But his disappearing made them taste Vipralambaras, which is highly nourishing for prem as it makes one hanker for the desired object. He himself has said this in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:32-20. So that's after Venu Geet, after Gopi Geet. Naham tu sakyo bhajato pijantum pajamyamisham anuvritti vrittaye yata dhano labda dhane vinashte tachintayanyam nibhrito naveda. O Gopis, I reciprocate with my loving devotees, but not immediately. This I do to strengthen their attraction for me. If a poor man suddenly receives vast wealth and then loses it, his heart becomes so absorbed in his lost wealth that he forgets everything else, even eating and drinking. Similarly, after I meet my devotees, I purposely hide myself so that they will think about nothing else but me. Actually, the only reason for his disappearance was to enjoy with Sri Radhika. Keshava means extremely effulgent. It is said in Mahabharata, O best of sages, this plenary expansion of myself manifesting here is called Kesha. Thus the omniscient call me Keshava. By this it is understood that the splendor and beauty of the whole place was lost when he suddenly disappeared. End of the Vaishnav Toshani on Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 29. Now, Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura's Sarartha Darshini. Sri Bhagavan treated all the Vrajasundaris equally, honoring and embracing them. When the chief Gopi, the daughter of Vrishabhanu Mahashrimati Radhika, saw this, she became enraged out of envy, and her eyes turned red. The lesser ranking gopis filled up with pride at their auspicious fortune. The present verse, Tasam, explains how Sri Krishna, aware of the cowherd maiden's moods, resolves the situation. Tasam, ta, them, plus sa, her. Ta means the pride of the Vrajasundaris, and sa refers to the anger of Vrishabhanu Kumari. To remove the pride of the Vrajasundaris and to please Vrishabhanu Kumari Shri Radha by pacifying her anger, Sri Keshav took her by force and disappeared. Keshava. Ka means Brahma, and Isha means Maheshwar, Shiva, plus Vayate means offer prayers. Brahma and Shiva offer prayers to Keshav, their monarch. This being the case, what was the need for Sri Krishna to go to such endeavor to break the pride of the Vrajasundaris? Keshava also means one who pleases Sri Radhika by dressing her hair. Indeed, Rasik Shekhar Sri Krishna is very expert in this art. Antardhiyata is an antiquated form of antardhat, meaning disappeared. He disappeared with Sri Radhika, taking her away by force. The forthcoming verses substantiate this. He did not go elsewhere. He vanished from that very spot in front of the Vrajdevis. He accomplished this by the help of Yogamaya to fulfill his desire. End of the Sarartha Darshini on Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 29. Chapter 2. Okay, so now we're beginning chapter 2, finally. The condition of the gopis in separation from Sri Kṛṣṇa. Shri Shuka Uvacha Antarhite Bhagavati Sahasaiva Vrajangana Atapyangstam Achakshana Karinya Iva Yuttapam. Shri Shukadev Gosvāmī said, O Parikshit, Bhagavan Shri Kṛṣṇa suddenly disappeared. When the Vrajsundaris did not see him, they became like a herd of female elephants who have lost their mate. In the gopis' hearts, the fire of separation burst into flames. Bhav Anuvads. Elaborated translations isn't the proper meaning of Bhav Anuvad. Okay. Śrīla Śrīdhara Samipad's Bhavartha Dipika. The 30th chapter describes how the gopis, feeling untold anguish upon not seeing Sri Kṛṣṇa, began burning in separation, and like madwomen, they searched for him from forest to forest till late in the night. Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmipad's Vaishnav Toshani. Sri Gosvāmī felt great pain when he described how Sri Kṛṣṇa suddenly disappeared. Due to this, he was unable to speak. Thus, there was a break in the narration. This break marked the end of the previous chapter. Even though he was feeling unhappy, as soon as he remembered the good fortune of the topmost gopi, Sri Radhika, with whom Bhagavan Sri Kṛṣṇa had disappeared, he regained his composure and resumes the narration with this first verse. Shukadev Gosvāmī used the phrase antarhite, meaning that Sri Bhagavan vanished suddenly without anyone observing. The word sahasaiva, quite suddenly, designates the imperceptible way in which he had disappeared. In other words, they did not see him leaving, so they could not know which direction he had gone. His unexpected departure threw the Vraj Gopis into a frenzy of intense affliction. The use of the word Vrajangana, the damsels of Vraj, indicates that Kṛṣṇa is the only lover of all the gopis. Thus, their pain in separation was excessive. This intense burning and separation which the gopis were experiencing is compared to that of the female elephant's anxiety upon losing sight of their beloved leader. This comparison is used to show that she-elephants' only shelter is their mate. Similarly, the Vraja Gopis' only resource is Sri Kṛṣṇa. Because of this, the Vraj Devis felt overwhelming agony when their lover abandoned them. Srila Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur's Sarartha Darshini. This 30th chapter describes how the Vrajanganas, maddened in separation from Kṛṣṇa, began searching for him, asking all the trees about his whereabouts. Then they started enacting their lovers' different pastimes. Later, it tells how he took one gopi with him, and in the end, he left her also. Achakshana means not seeing. When the gopis lost sight of Sri Kṛṣṇa, they were devastated by anxiety. Katyanuraga smita vibramekšitar manoramalapa vihara vibramai akshipta cheta pramadaramāpates tasta vicheshta jagrihustara atmika. Those gopis' hearts had already been completely attracted by Ramapati Krishna, by his way of walking like an intoxicated elephant, by his very sweet smiles radiating prem, by his playful glances, by his charming love chatter, and by his many other inviting gestures and stratagems. Those Vrajdevis, overwhelmed in prem, became completely one with Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune, and they began acting like him. Śrīla Śrīdhara Swāmīpad Bhavarta Dipika. Ramapati Shri Krishna's graceful gait, his passionate, joyful, and provocative glances, coupled with his dancing eyebrows, his heart-stealing sweet talk, his flirting, and all his other provocative acts, all these gestures infatuated the gopis. Consumed by prem, they went wild, and being totally absorbed in Krishna, they began playfully imitating all his different pastimes. I wonder if it has a picture of that in here. Yes, let's see. Oh, it doesn't. Why not? Anyhow. Srila Jīva Gosvāmī Pad's Vaishnav Toshani. Starting from this current verse, which begins with Gatya, and all the way up to and including the first verse of chapter 32, the narration recounts the gopis' anguish in separation. Gati means Sri Krishna's usual way of walking. Anurag means his special moods befitting a lover. Smita means his soft smile. Vibhrama means his moving eyebrows and other inviting gestures. All of these mannerisms are expressions of his heartfelt desires for amorous intrigue. Vihar means erotic diversions. The second Vibhrama indicates special romantic sentiments. The Rasa Shastras give another meaning for Vibhrama, that is, the restlessness of the heart due to amorous desire. Anurag, arising from the heart, refers to activities on the mental plane. His way of walking, his soft smile, his beckoning glances, and his amorous roaming about are bodily activities. His captivating talks are a verbal activity. It should be understood that by all these activities, many, many other emotional sentiments are expressed. Here, gati is a common act, so it is taken separately. His soft smile and suggestive glances arise in the first stage of anurag, so these three are grouped together. Alap, sweet love talk, and vihar, lovers strolling together, arise with vibhrama, rapture. Thus, these three come in one phrase. In the previous chapter 29, verses 43, Tabi Sametabhir, 46, Bahu Prasara Parirambha, describes Shri Krishna's attracting the gopis by his alluring behavior, his movements and impassioned expressions. These gopis, thoroughly intoxicated, now begin imitating Krishna's behavior with them, how he caressed them, embraced them, and joked with him on the bank of the Yamuna, as described in the verse Bahu Prasara Parirambha. In the verse at hand, the word pramada is used, indicating ladies whose hearts had been captivated and instilled with special madness, pra plus mada. By splitting the word in this way, we can understand the true nature of these gopis. They are characteristically intoxicated. Now, highly maddened, they became fully absorbed in Krishna's loving exchanges with them and started imitating his pastimes. What else can be said about these lovesick maidens? Rāma-pate. In this verse, Rama refers to Lakshmi Devi, the source and presiding deity of all beauty, all attributes, all sweetness, all majesty, and all riches. And thus, her master, her lord, her husband, would be considered the absolute master of all these opulences. According to Shastra, Rama also means Śrīdhara. So Rāma-pati means Sri Radha's master, Krishna. The use of the expression Rāma-pati here indicates that Krishna has disappeared, taking Radha with him. Tasta, all of those in the last line of this verse 2 refers to all of those different actions described in the verse Bahu Prasara. That was in the previous verse that we read. Such as, that was 2 verses back. Such as spreading his arms. Hare Krishna Shasharmaji. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur's Sarartha Darshini. Then the Vrajasundaris started searching for Krishna here and they started searching for Krishna here, there, and everywhere, in every kunja. They were unable to find him, and their anguish increased by the moment. Due to this anguish, the sanchari bhav of unmad, divine madness, arose. Shukadev Gosvāmī spoke this verse beginning with Gatya and the next verse to show that this sanchari bhav manifested. Rāma-pati refers to Sri Krishna, who is the master of all beauty and all wealth. Gatya is his natural way of walking. Alternatively, the way he first walked towards the Gopīs. Then comes Anurag, shown by his soft smile. Vibhrama, his restless dancing eyes revealing his wanton moods. And Manorama Alap, charming love chatter. Monoram, I think it's short A. Anyways, for instance, oh lovely land lotus. What's a land lotus? Oh lovely land lotus ladies, won't you give a drink of your nectar to this thirsty bumblebee? In answer, the Gopis say to Krishna, "O bumblebee, the husband of the lotuses is the sun, not the bee. Therefore, why should we give you our honey to drink?" Krishna replies, "O beautiful lotus ladies, it is the nature of the lotus that they won't give their honey to their husband, the sun. Rather, they let their paramour, the bee, drink their honey." By this Manoramalap, this clever verbal exchange, the Gopis were soundly defeated. As the Gopis smiled sweetly, Krishna drank the nectar of their lips and began his amorous play. Krishna singled out one sweet maiden and said, "Ah, I understand when you are walking in front of me under the Kadamba tree, you are bitten by an insolent snake that arouses lust. And I see that his venom has already gone all the way up to your breasts. As you are from a respected family, you are too embarrassed to tell me about the snake bite. But I can remove that poison, and that's why, out of my kindness, I have come to help you. I will recite the mantra to counteract the poison as I massage you." The Vraj Devi replied, "O snake charmer, no snake has bitten me. Go to that person who is actually bitten by the snake and caress her body." Krishna answered, "O well-bred lady, from your stuttering, I can understand that you are becoming agitated due to the burning of that poison. Knowing this and not doing anything to help you, surely I will be guilty of killing a woman. Therefore, I will alleviate that poison. Saying this, Krishna approached that Vrajadevi and scratched her breasts. After that, they began their amorous diversions, all of them completely maddened by erotic desire. The Ras Shastras explain Vibhrama. When one's heart is filled with conjugal desire, one becomes overly restless. Due to this condition, the Vraj Devis displayed all the mannerisms indicative of their thirst for romance. Now, in separation, the gopis walked down memory lane together, remembering all those dalliances they had enjoyed with their beloved. Their hearts so much attracted to Krishna, they said, "O heart, what are you doing here? Go out and look for the love of your life." In this way, the gopis were chastising their life forces. From their speech, one can understand that their hearts were about to leave their bodies. Here, pramada signifies the high degree of the gopis' madness, which then escalated. It escalated to the top limit, unmada. In this condition, they became one with Krishna, tadatmika, seeing themselves as him, and they began imitating his many different pastimes. Gati smita prekshana bhashanadishu priya priyasya pratirudamurtaya asavaham tvityabalashtaratmika Nyavedishu Krishna Vihara Vibramam. In this way, Krishna's beloved Vraj Sundaris, the lovely damsels of Vraj, became like him, copying all his mannerisms, his carefree way of walking, his sweet laughing smile, his infatuating glances, and his ambrosial words. The moods underlying all of Krishna's inviting gestures infiltrated the gopis' bodies, and they became maddened. Remembering his amorous pastimes, they took on his nature as they mimicked his amorous activities. They avowed, "I am Krishna." Śrīla Śrīdhara Swamipad's Bhavartha Dipika. The gopis became completely absorbed in their beloved Krishna's ways, his gait, his laughing and joking, and all other mannerisms. Therefore, those Vraj Sundaris became Krishna Vihara Vibhrama. That is, they began acting just like their sweetheart and insisted to each other, "I am Krishna." Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī Pad Vaishnav Toshan. In this verse, Gati Smita, Sri Shukadeva Goswami clearly states that the gopis assumed Krishna's nature. The previous verse describes their beloved's walk, smile, laughter, glances, speech, and other inviting moments. Shri Krishna performs many actions. Shri Krishna performs many actions that the gopis acted out, but these are not being elaborated on here. The gopis who were absorbed in Krishna's gestures experienced that all their senses and entire bodies became like his. Therefore, inside and outside, they became supersaturated with their beloved's moods. In simple language, it can be explained that the Vrajaramani's speech, mind, senses, and everything else, all the activities of the senses and provocative gestures, were just like Krishna's. Abala, the weaker sex, refers to women. Therefore, all their gestures would naturally have a feminine tone, but still they had assumed Krishna's inner nature. Every gopi introduced herself to the others as being Krishna himself. "That person whom you're so excited about, I am that Krishna. I am the hero of amorous intrigue. Why are you in so much turmoil over me?" How did those gopis present themselves? They acted exactly as Krishna did when he was in the throes of romantic dalliances with them. The gopis became filled with Krishna's qualities, and in Prem Lila, it is very natural for them to see themselves as their beloved. However, their thinking that they were Krishna is not artificial like the ahangropasana, the Mayavad practice of worshipping oneself as the supreme. The words priya priyasya, the gopis absorbed in their beloved, are used in this verse to emphasize that because the gopis' love for Krishna is inborn, they naturally reflect their beloved's personality. The gopis mirrored all the different ways that Sri Krishna displayed his love for them. In other words, whatever movements or expressions he employed, the gopis mimicked, being completely absorbed in his walking, laughing, joking, etc. These Vraj gopis imitating Krishna's activities, um, is called Lila Anubhav. The Ras Shastra says, absorbed completely in prem, the beloved imitates her lover's activities and dresses like him. Such behavior is called Lila Anubhav. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhakur's rtha Darshini. This third verse, Gati, relates how the Vraj Sundaris behaved in their fully blazing madness. The previous verse recounted how the gopis assumed all of their beloved's mannerisms, his way of walking, his smile, his glances, his sweet love chatter, his amorous play. In other words, the gopis' minds and senses, indeed their whole beings, were taken over by their lover's behavior, his laugh, walk, and other actions. Being controlled by badness, two persons became one. Krishna is me. Truly, I am Krishna. Giving up all logic, they emphatically said, I am Krishna. As the Vraj Sundaris attained this mature stage of relishing ras, their whole beings became like their lover. This sense of oneness with Krishna is not to be confused with ahangropasana. The words priya priyasya indicates that the gopis are declaring to each other, I am Krishna. At this time, none of them identified in the slightest as the maidens of Vraj. The reason for this is that remembering Krishna's amorous adventures with them, they became absorbed in these leelas and went insane. Gayantya uchar amameva sanghata vichikyurunmattaka varvanarvanam paprachurakasha varantaram bahir bhuteshu santam purusham vanaspatin. When those gopis' absorption in Sri Krishna subsided a bit, their mood also changed. Altogether, they loudly sang about Sri Krishna's qualities and became intoxicated. In this mood, they started searching for their beloved, going from one forest to another, looking in every dense thicket. O Parikshit, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, like the sky, is everywhere, pervading inside and outside, all the inert and conscious objects. He was not far away from them, but the gopis, not seeing him in their midst, asked the trees and creepers where he was. Śrīla Swāmīpad's Bhavartha Dipika. Now singing even more loudly, those gopis became maddened and went from one forest to another in search of Sri Krishna. They were inquiring from the trees about their beloved's whereabouts. This is the behavior of persons who have lost their minds. The sky is all-pervading. In the same way, the Supreme Person is inside and outside every living entity. It is this Supreme Person whom the gopis were asking about. Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī Pad's Vaishnav Toshani. This verse, starting with Gayantya, describes how, after a long time, the gopis reverted to their usual condition, but then again went mad. Here, gan means singing. To protect themselves, they were singing about the killing of Putana and Krishna's other pastimes famous in Gokul. For example, the gopis sang, Vishajalapyayad, O best of men, You have saved us Vrajavasis again and again from all dangers. You protected us from the poisonous water of Kaliya Lake. Agasura, um, you have protected us from the waters of Kaliya Lake, Agasura, and the rainstorm sent by Indra, the demon Trinavarta, Indra's thunderbolt, and the perilous blazing fire, Aristasura, Maya's son Vyomasura, and many other dangers. That's the third verse of Gopi Gita. There are several reasons why the gopis sang out loud. 1. To make sure that Krishna, who is quite some distance away, would hear about their dire sufferings. 2. To attract Krishna, who loves to hear the devotees singing. And 3. It is natural for one to sing when the heart is afflicted. Amum Eva means they sang songs about Krishna. Sri Krishna inflicted untold suffering upon the Vajrasundaris by abandoning them. Even so, in separation, they were singing his glories. The beloved never sees the faults in her lover, even when bewildered, and will always sing his glories. Sanghata means banded together. All together in a whole group, the gopis looked everywhere for Krishna, and in a mood of friendship, they stayed together to remove each other's pain. They sang about Krishna as they searched for him, and as they roamed around, they asked the trees where their beloved was. What was the reason for inquiring from the trees and creepers? The reason was unmatakavar, meaning they were asking frankly like insane persons. Due to their madness, their hair, clothes, and ornaments were disarrayed. Purusha means in the form of supersoul. He is all-pervading, inside and outside all living entities, like the sky. It is this Purusha that the gopis were inquiring about. The only object and receptacle for the gopis' love is Krishna and his human-like pastimes. In other words, the gopis never felt that Krishna was the supersoul, so he never showed himself as such to them. Controlled by the madness of prema, they were asking the trees the whereabouts of their lover Krishna. What a calamity! What a calamity! In the forest, there is no one to hear their crying. So did the gopis' lamentation go in vain? No. And to prove this, the word akasha is used in this verse, meaning that Bhagavan, like the sky, is all-pervading, inside and outside all the living entities, and he was hearing their lament. And Srimad Bhagavatam 10:32-21, so the chapter after Gopi Gita, Krishna himself says, Maya paroksham bhajata. Although I had gone into hiding, I was constantly absorbed in hearing your love cries and maintained my deep love for you. That's two chapters after Gopi Gita. The word Purusha is used, indicating that the gopis were inquiring about their hero Shri Krishna. In the mature stage of their prema, the gopis were directly seeing Krishna everywhere, visible to their eyes, in all moving and non-moving entities. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:35-9, the gopis said, in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:35-9, the gopis said, the creepers and trees of the forest, luxuriant with fresh flowers and fruits, are bowing down and horripilating. Sorry. This is evidence that Krishna was manifesting in their hearts. The meaning is that those saintly gopis were so bewildered in love that they saw Krishna next to every object that they looked at. From far away. Again, when they came near that object, they saw Krishna inside it also. Although the trees and other vegetation have no senses, still the gopis asked all the plants about their beloved. This, we must understand, is madness. In other words, only a person gripped by the hysteria of love would question a senseless tree. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur's Sarartha Darshini. When the highly incited madness of those Vraj Sundaris subsided, in half external consciousness, they began to look for Kṛṣṇa. This verse, Gayantya, describes their search for him. Immersed in the anguish of separation, the Vraj damsels looked everywhere for their lover, Sri Kṛṣṇa. They separated into small groups to expedite their search, and like deranged women, they roamed from forest to forest, inquiring from the trees about Krishna's whereabouts. Unmattakavad means like mad women. Why inquire from someone who is not capable of responding? It is obvious that anyone who would question insentient trees and bushes is certainly out of their mind. One may ask, did Sri Krishna hear the gopis frantically questioning the trees while he was very happily absorbed in romancing with Vrindavaneshwari Sri Rāsa? Sri Shukadeva Gosvāmī answered this question with these words, Bhuteshu akasha vad antaram bahir santam purusham. Sri Krishna's form is unlimited and all-pervading. Therefore, when the gopis were inquiring from the trees, although Sri Krishna was engrossed in enjoying love play with his primary heroine, Sri Radhika, at the same time, he was present with each living entity, inside and outside. This is why he was attentively hearing the gopis insanely questioning the trees. This is what has been implied here. Okay, we're going to end with this verse 5. Drishtova kachid ashvata lakshanyagrodam no mana nandasunur gato hritva prema hasavalokanai. The Vrajadevis first went to the very large trees and asked, Hey Ashwata, sacred berry tree. Hey Plaksha, holy fig tree. Hey Nyagurodha, banyan. Is that how you spell banyan? It is. Nanda Nandan Shyam Sundar has stolen our minds with his love-filled smiles and glances, and has absconded with them. Have you seen him? Śrīla Śrīdhara Swamipad's Bhavartha Dipika. The next 9 verses expand on the gopis questioning all the plants. The gopis thought that out of all the plants, these trees are the tallest, so surely they must have seen Krishna even from afar. They asked, with his gentle smiles coupled with his loving glances, Sri Krishna has kidnapped our minds, and like a thief, has run off. Have you seen him? Srila Jīva Gosvāmipad's Vaishnav Toshani. Va, you. Have you seen him? Hey people, hey Plaksha. Knowing that these trees are dear to Sri Krishna, the gopis respectfully addressed and inquired from each and every one of them. You may ask why we are inquiring about Nanda Nandan. He has stolen our minds. Here, rtha, stealing, is used to indicate that the gopis' minds, which were likened to precious jewels, had been pilfered. And therefore they said, we are searching for our stolen property. Because you are saintly persons, we are asking you. The expression Nandasunu is used to exhibit the reason for the gopis' trust. Because Krishna is the son of the great saint, Nanda Maharaj, we trusted him and kept our jewels with him, and then he robbed us. Nanda also means Ananda, bliss. Nanda Baba gives joy to the whole of Raj. Therefore, it is not possible that his son will be Nirananda, not giving happiness. Understanding this, we had faith in him. But he betrayed our trust and ran off with our invaluable jewel-like minds. Therefore the gopis, feeling hurt, would not pronounce Sri Krishna's names, but rather referred to him as Nanda Nandan. Also, perhaps due to some resentment, they did not take their lover's name directly. According to Su chagasyapi tad bhavet logic. What you speak about happens to you. One does not speak out a thief's name. The gopis asked the trees, if you have seen him, then he must be roaming in this area. Only after getting some confirmation from you will we continue our search for him. This mood has been indicated here. Okay. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura's Sarartha Darshini. In this way, 9 verses, verses 5 to 13, elaborate on the gopis' questions. The Vraj maidens were thinking to themselves, this pilu and the other tall trees surely must be seeing Sri Kṛṣṇa, who may be far away. Considering this possibility, they first asked the trees about their lover's whereabouts. Fearing that the trees might raise an objection to their inquiry, the gopi said, Hey Ashvata, hey Pilu, hey Banyan, you must be wondering why we are asking for Sri Kṛṣṇa. Even being the son of the saintly Nanda Maharaj, he has robbed us of the jewels of our minds and run away. Have you seen him? He sends his smiles and glances, infused with a special medicine of prem, as his thieving accomplices. He sends those his smiles and glances as his thieving accomplices to beguile everyone. They entered the innermost chambers of our hearts through our eyes, and absconded after grabbing the treasure of our minds. Hoping that the trees would reply, the gopis waited for a few minutes, but the trees remained silent. Seeing us as insignificant, these trees did not reply and simply ignored us. Therefore, what is the use of asking them, whose fruits are so puny? They are oblivious to acting for the welfare of others. They have no flowers, and their hearts are tainted. Speaking like this, the gopis went elsewhere. All right, so we will continue reading the gopis' questions of the trees and plants tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari, Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Gurudev Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti sorry, I'm gonna just Bhakti Vigyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Srila Satchid Ananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jīva Gopala Bhattadasa Raghunath, Shri Gosvāmī Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanantari, Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai, Nama Chai Shri Hairas Ṭhākura Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund Ki Jai, Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Shri Rāsa-pañcādhyāyī Ki Jai, Shri Sarva Vraja Devi Gan Ki Jai, Raseshwari Shri Vrishabhanunandini Srimati Radha Ṭhākurani Ki Jai, Shri Vrajendra Nandan Sham Sundar Shri Krishna Chandra Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams, everybody. Also, tomorrow is, I'll show you, it is the appearance day of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. And then in 7 days will be Madhvacharya's appearance day. Akadashi is in 8 days from now. Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and who else? Is it Raghunath Bhatta Goswami? Their day is that will be in 9 days from now. And Kartik begins in 11 days. So tomorrow we will also read about Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. All right, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you for joining in this reading. See you all tomorrow. Haribol.